And someone had said, it was like, do you not care? Like they posted that on Instagram. Like, why would I care? It's
Exactly.
my Instagram account. I put whatever I want on my Instagram account.
100%.
And that's a big thing, I think, for people too hung up on what everybody else thinks.
All right, guys, welcome. Episode 23, Brothers of Purpose. Today, we got James Dean on. I've been wanting to get you on for a while, bro.
Good to have you on,
Mate,
brother.
nice to see you, brother.
Yeah.
James, introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting us on.
My pleasure, bro.
It's almost like a bit of a moment where you think, what am I doing here? But yeah, I guess I'm on the right path.
100%.
But yeah, my name is James Dean. I'm 27, work in sales and just very passionate about health, fitness, personal development, and putting myself on a better path in life, I would say.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love that. You've, I've known you on and off for probably the last 18 months, 2 years. I've seen you just grow massively during that time, but you seem to have sort of tested things out, found your feet in that. What was the catalyst for all that change? Because I know you spoke briefly about it, but it was quite a big, from what you said to me, quite a big pivot in your life. And a lot of stuff changed.
I think, well, the first sort of, there was a time when I was like just drinking, you know, partying, taking drugs, and like, it comes a point where you kind of like just think, is this what I do forever? Like, I've always had that internal feeling that like I was made for more than what I was allowing myself to just accept. So it was like, well, what is that more? And it was kind of just like, sort of like you say, finding my feet and trying different things and getting into fitness and, you know, trying to be around better people and not saying yes all the time. That was a big one. Like, I couldn't stay in. I couldn't stay in the house. But now I'm like, I'll just read a book. You know, like just little things like that. But
did you feel like you were people please?
Definitely,
I knew you were going to go there with that.
Definitely,
that's a big thing.
That's my personality type. When I've done like I do lots of personality tests just to kind of check where I'm at in life, and that's one of my traits. Is like a people pleaser, so I have to try and. Sometimes I can give too much energy.
100%.
And that's one thing I've really learned to do over the last 12 months is protect my energy and not give.
Yes,
Too much.
the power of saying no. It's so key. Do you know, like we've spoke about this, and like for me at least, I think there was a degree of ego in it where I'd always be like, if people were inviting me out on nights out, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to let them down. They don't give a fuck. You know, they're still going to go out and they're still going to have their night. And like, I was never that important that it was going to affect the night, but I always be like, oh no, I've got to go now. And then I'd end up like saying yes to 2 people on 2 separate nights or on the same night and letting someone down. And it got to a point where I was just, it's valuing your own time. I don't want to do that. Obviously, you know, different things cause the changes to happen, but that's a massive thing, I think. People pleasing. You see it a lot in people. It benefits no one. No one ever really wins out of people pleasing. I don't think anyway.
Nah, definitely not. And like, you don't really become any closer to your goal if you keep saying yes to these little things. And like, I don't necessarily know exactly where I'm headed, but I know that if I keep doing little things day to day, then I get a little bit closer. Like I wake up in the morning and I know if I go and do this work, or if I go to work and I do this sale, then that brings me closer to a little bit more money, a little bit more happiness.
Yes,
you know, on a night time, I feel a little bit more fulfilled.
Yes.
It's all about fulfillment for me. That's kind of like, whether that's spending time with the right people, saying yes to the right things. That's kind of where that comes from for me.
I agree completely. I think what I think takes a lot of pressure off, or at least for me, is all I try and say is every day, try and do the right things, stick to your non-negotiables, and surround yourself with the right people. If you do that, the rest of the stuff works itself out. If you're around the right people, you're taking the right information, and you're pushing yourself, and you're embracing elements of discomfort, everything starts to work itself out. You suddenly find yourself in environments that 12 months ago you could never have pictured.
Definitely.
And suddenly, you know, but I think when you're on that journey, do you ever get it where it gets a bit tough at times and you need to take a step back and be like, well, hang on, look at what I've done in this last 12 months.
100%. Like, so sometimes I like to give myself a little bit of, maybe it's a week where I don't do as much. Because I feel like you've been battering the door down for so long. And like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. But really, you don't need to do anything.
No, sometimes you need a break.
Yeah, exactly. Like I do need a break sometimes because it's like, can be overstimulating. You're like, because you you're looking where you want to be, but you're not really looking at where you've come from. You don't take the time to look back and go, actually, who was I 12 months ago? Not who I am right now.
Exactly.
So you have to be like, it's gratitude. That's a big thing for me, like being grateful for where I am and the things that I've done.
To be patient as well.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
No, it's that's so true, you know. I've been talking to quite a few people about this recently. Anything, it does take longer than you think. And whatever it is. Like, I remember when I first started training with you, and I remember saying to people, I'll probably be able to see my abs in 6 weeks. Mate, I was like 33% body fat. Yeah. It was not going to be 6 weeks I was seeing my abs. And it's consistency. Like, I think you need to commit to at least 12 months with anything to see whether it's going to work and to see at least some development. I think that's why a lot of people probably pick things up for maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, but then they tail off, because it does require discipline and consistency with whatever you're doing, I think. Yeah.
Do you think you should plan your life in decades?
Nah, I don't see it that far ahead, to be honest.
No.
I like one thing that I have done is I've like visualized what my dream life would look like.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of putting the daily actionables in place so that what would that person do? That person who has X amount of money, has raised X amount of money for charity, has lived in this lifestyle. How do you reverse engineer from there? Because it's hard to plan in decades, because like I'm a big believer in like tomorrow's never promised. Like I don't really like to visualize too far ahead
from how you want to be remembered, sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm very big on legacy.
Yeah,
I want to leave like behind a big wave.
I like that.
Like, because in 100 years' time, nobody in this room is going to be known.
It's true.
So how can you leave a lasting impact? That's what I'm like focusing on right now.
I like that.
That's what I want to do.
Is that sort of the inspiration behind the community and what you're building? Yeah,
because I feel like with the community, it stemmed from like speaking to people and being like, I'm sick of my life. I'm this. I want to kill myself. And I'm like, But that was in a time when I was feeling very low, and that like sort of made me think I need to get hold of this for people, like to try and make a difference.
Yeah.
Even if it's minor, but like getting people together and having conversation, being around people who are on a positive wave.
Yeah.
Like not going and
that's such a big effect.
Just crawling through life and going, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Because you just like, you need to change your energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do.
Completely.
You really do. Like, it's not easy. And especially when you're like struggling with things, but like the community aspect and bringing people together, people who are doing like going on, I don't know, let's say people who are doing high rocks, people who you can be inspired by.
Exactly.
You know,
or just
like,
people who are pushing themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Like I'm a big believer in rumination. If you ruminate on negativity, it starts to become part of your day. You know, you start to find the negative things start to happen. You get a flat tire. You don't close that deal at work. You're not feeling as good in the gym. And it's mindset. If you're spending time with positive people, it makes such a big difference.
Energy is infectious, isn't it?
Definitely, like giving off a good energy is like.
How have you found managing the community?
It can be tough at times, I have to say, because like it comes down to like not everybody's on the same wavelength, and it's not like me being rude or anything, but it's like some people are just starting, and it's quite hard to when you're like trying to. I'm not anywhere. Let's say I'm not like at the highest heights or anything, but like I'm on my trajectory, and when people are just coming up on theirs, and they're like trying to sap information from you and that sort of thing, it can drain you a little bit. It can be hard, but like overall it's like a really good and it brings us a lot of joy to see people who go from not even being able to run a 5k. I can't run a 5k, and like it's believing in people before they believe in themselves. That's what I find is a massive thing. Like I've instilled a little bit of belief in you when you don't believe in yourself, and that'll take you a lot further.
Without a doubt, if you can get people to believe in you, that's one of the biggest things. If you can surround yourself with people that potentially know your ability and potential at that point, maybe more than you do, that's what you want. People that are going to help bring you to where you want to be, but also just you're going to grow together. But that's I've seen you use the phrase brotherhood a few times recently. I love that. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's what it is. Like, because it's like a group of men. We've obviously got women involved as well, which is it's actually quite a even split of men and women at the moment in what we're doing, but like kind of more on my personal side of things, like on my Instagram page. I'm kind of trying to tap in more to the men. Because I believe like the modern man now is like is really changing to like just kind of accepting life. Like I don't see life as going to work every day. I want to try and build upon that, you know, and like
I agree.
And I'm trying to like sort of things that I'm learning. I'm trying to just put out there in little bits. I don't know everything, but I'm learning more than what I knew 12 months ago. So
100%.
I'm trying to like
big on self-development.
Yeah, definitely, like huge. I think once you start getting into it, like it's a weird one because I struggle with it a little bit because I love it, but I feel like everybody gets onto it and they use the same buzzwords, and it just like
that's true.
I'm just like it's you versus you. I'm locked in.
Yeah.
And I'm just like this is boring. Like how is there a change? But I think once you get on that path, you become sucked into it. Like with everybody,
without a doubt.
You're like, he's saying I'm locked in, so I must be locked in. I'm going to the gym, aren't I? You know what I mean? So you're like,
no, it is, mate. It is. I think it's something that you buy into. I think that is one of the key things to getting out of a negative mindset, though. It is down to the words you use, the phrases, but also it's just that decision. So you were saying a couple years ago, really low point for yourself. How often would you say you feel low at the moment?
Very, very rarely, to be honest.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking to you the other week. Since I've made the changes in the past 15 months, I went from like telling everyone I've got depression.
Yeah.
You know, it's me. It's in my genes. No, it's fucking not. Because I haven't had depression since I've made all these changes.
Yeah.
I've put foundations and non-negotiables in, and it's completely eradicated it.
It's in your daily routines.
Do you know what I mean?
It genuinely is. Like, I was like this. So it was like 12 months ago when I was like really, really low.
Yeah.
Like I've said to you, like I went through a breakup. Then not long after, my dad was already ill. But then he was like going through the mental change of like not being able to work. And I got a phone call from his wife. She was like, "Oh, your dad's got depression." And I was like, I'm not the man to be calling right now, like, because I'm normally the guy that picked the phone up who's got a little bit of energy.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't the time to call me, honestly. I was lying in bed. It was like a Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd been on the drink, but I was lying in bed and I was just feeling sorry for myself. And I was saying to people, like, similar to what you said about saying depression, but I was like, oh, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
But I don't think, like, that was true.
Yeah.
But, like, I kept on saying it. And, like, one of my mates was going, you keep saying that, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, that made us think. I was like, fuck, I am saying that. Why am I saying that? Because I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just a negative mindset that I had got myself into. And I was like, I just needed to rewire my brain and like tell myself, like, instead of going, oh, what, like, why is this happening to us? It was like kind of accepting the fact that it was happening and that I just had to push through and I had to go and do other hard things.
That's it. That's fucking it. Do hard things. When you do hard things, it makes life seem a little bit more manageable. But also, what gives you more accomplishment than achieving something really tough?
Yeah. I think you have to be careful with topics like this because there is, like, depression is a mental illness that some people have, like clinical depression.
Oh, without a doubt.
But, I think in your case, it's been the habits that you had in place that have allowed you to come out of that place. I wish there was like a study or a test where they just got everyone that was depressed and looked at their habits.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And see what they found. Because I do think it plays a huge role in what kind of negative spiral you're in.
Well, I thought about this quite a lot, like this week. I was like, why did that affect me so much?
Yeah.
And what I brought it down to is because I wasn't happy beneath the surface. So all of these things happened. Like my dad was ill, I went through a breakup.
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy with myself.
Yeah.
First and foremost. So all of these things were on top of that.
Yeah.
And then underneath there was like, well, you're not happy with the way you look.
Yep.
You're not eating properly. You keep telling yourself you're going to eat right and then you don't do it. So I kept on making promises to myself that I wasn't keeping. And that was a little thing. It was just eating away in my mind. It's like, why do you keep saying you're going to do these things and then you don't do them? Like, you keep even speaking them out loud to people and everybody else, nobody believes in you because you keep going back on your own word. And I was like, that was the catalyst, really. I was like, now I need to be a man of my word.
Yeah.
And I also need to do some hard things
Yes.
to eradicate what this pain feels like right now. I want to go and do something harder. I actually watched a video just this week. It was like, if someone asks you what's the hardest thing you've done in your life, and you can just tell them straight away, then you haven't done enough hard things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the quest I'm on now in life. Like, how many hard things can I get under my belt so that when I go, so when you ask me, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? I'm like, God, come back to us in a couple of days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
mate, I love that. I do. I think, I get that a lot. I get what you're saying. Because I was that point. I always say, I remember when I was giving advice to someone, it was a family member. And I can't remember whether it was good advice or not, but I remember looking them in the eye and just going, oh, they don't believe a word I'm saying. Because my credibility was that I had none.
Yeah.
So, and that really dented it. And it was a culmination of years of people losing trust in me, I was losing credibility. So it was a case of, right, that person has to die. I have to rebuild and just rebuild from the ground up. But I think going back to what you were saying, depression, it is genetic. There's two different types of it, but I believe it comes down to your environment, your habits. So there's a family member, I won't say who, but they were saying recently, God, this new medication I'm on is making me gain weight. It's not the medication. It's the fact that this person is doing under 2,000 steps a day, is not eating well, isn't going to the gym, is drinking, and has no routine.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a big difference between someone who's saying, oh, I feel depressed, and somebody who has like a very deep level of psychosis where they're planning and plotting trying to find ways to take their own life because they genuinely believe that the world would be a better place without them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely agree.
It's like, how do you make time for both of those people, sort of thing? It's like, I think the latter person probably just needs medical help, but the person who is just feeling depressed probably just needs community.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would probably argue with both, to be honest, because I think there's definitely a solution for depression, and I don't think it's medical. I don't believe in taking pills to make you feel better. Genuinely don't, because otherwise I would have, like, my dad took them like way back, like when my mum and dad split up.
Make it worse.
And that's it. Like,
so
the instant reaction there was like, I don't feel good, I'm gonna go to the doctors and get some antidepressants.
Yeah.
But like, what else could you have done before you explored that option?
Exactly.
Like that it's not easy to get out of a negative cycle, but taking tablets isn't making it any easier, because when you come off the tablets, you're no better off.
Yeah.
And you can't come off the tablets, really. If you want to feel better, you're taking your, I don't know, is it serotonin? Or you're taking your levels to a medicinal level.
Yeah.
Not like what you can do just off going and spending time in nature, mate. Go for a walk.
Well, you're no longer reliant on how you feel. You're reliant on this pill and how you feel. Now, there is an argument that if it works for some people, that's fine. Like, I've got family members who have taken antidepressants for years and years, and it works for them. And it's sort of like, okay, if that's what works for you, that's fine. I'm of the notion for yourself that you have, which is, I wanted to explore all other avenues. Don't get me wrong, there is definitely some things that need to be medicated for. But when
it's like health and fitness, the two go hand in hand. Like, a doctor can help you with your health, but your fitness, like training, what you're eating, all of that's going to contribute towards your mental state, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes people separate health and fitness when the two almost need to go together.
Yeah.
How much has your health and fitness journey saved your life in those situations? Because for me personally, without my health and fitness journey, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah, I think it gives us a lot of direction in life, which is a big thing, because the more direction that I have, the more that my mind feels kind of locked into what I'm doing. You know, like, it's definitely played a massive part, because I would always go through a spell where I've trained on and off, like, since I was like 14, but I never really got into a routine that I was like, or found something that I was really like enjoying. Like I started off with like bodybuilding, that sort of thing, but I never put any size on. I just used to like going to the gym because I wouldn't eat right. So it was all like, it's definitely now, where I'm at now is like I take everything a lot more serious, and then because of that, like I feel a lot better. Then it's like just noticeable that they go hand in hand, like you say. Like it's more so like I would just eat out and do the easy option, like with everything. Like I can't be bothered to cook, can't be bothered to do this. But now I like say like, well, you're gonna feel better if you do that. Like you have to do those things. But like for me, a big thing which helped as well, like I started to see a therapist, and that was a massive thing. That helped with everything though. Like, like I spoke to him about all sorts, like, and that's kind of where like.
Was it in person or online?
In person, yeah. And
I love that, man.
I had a really good. Well, I still have. I haven't seen him as much. I haven't seen him since just before me, or just after my dad had died. But I haven't been back since. But like I was going once a week because I was like, just how do I do this? But going to see a therapist is like a cheat code. Like you unlock parts of your brain. The questions that you get asked. Nobody really asks you those questions in a day to day. So for you to be able to then kind of go back into your mind even further and think, well, why do I feel that? Or why is this happening?
I think it forces you to answer questions, or if you want to be effective with it, it forces you to answer questions with absolute honesty as well.
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to be honest. The problem with therapy, right, is a lot of things have to go perfect. You've got to find the perfect match. So,
that's true.
like, if you are scouting around for a therapist and you meet someone and their personality just clashes with you, straight away, the honesty goes out the window. So straight away, you're not getting the most out of it. So that's one huge big box to tick. But then on top of that, you've got to be ready for it as well. So you've got to be in a position where you're open, you're honest, and you're looking to do that, let's say, inner work. And then a lot of people argue that whilst you're doing talking therapy, you need to do something alongside with it as well. So like your training, your exercise, your nutrition, but also medication as well. But what's your take on it?
I was lucky.
How long did you have it for?
But I went from like May last year up until just March was the last time I've been. I think this is the way that I position it, is I go to the gym for my body. That's the gym for my mind. That's the way that I see it. Because like,
I agree.
I was lucky that I spoke to a guy at the gym who was seeing this therapist. And he's a guy who I hold highly in my regards. And I thought, well, if he's seeing it, I'm going there. And I went. It was literally on the doorstep from the gym. And I just used to go every week. And like, we just got on really well. Like, first session, I just cried my eyes out in front of him. And I was like, that's the most vulnerable I've ever been in my life. I've cried my eyes out in front of a grown man who I don't even know. And I was like, but this is the beginning of like, of accepting and realizing, because I think my ego had been broken through everything that I had gone through. And I was like, it's time to just build from the ground up. Because I had this ego that I probably wasn't even living up to. And that was like, I had this idea in my head that I was Mr. This, that, and the other. Like, oh, like in a relationship, why would anybody leave me? I'm this. But when I looked in the mirror, I was like, my physique was nowhere near where I wanted it.
I relate to that
what
so
my mind
much.
was telling us my physique looked like. It was nothing that it should have been. And I started to thought, you know what it is? It's time to just literally go in fresh and just do all of the. I was doing the therapy. I was going to the gym. I was eating right. I was reading the books. I just immersed myself in that sort of thing for so long, and it's like, it was great. You know what it is? Like, it took a while. And
it does.
A lot of sessions when I was like, oh, Mark, I'm just not getting anywhere with this. I don't feel like I'm getting any further forward. We talked a lot about like purpose, direction, fulfillment. Those were three big things that like I started to think about outside of therapy as well. I was like, right, what's my purpose? What is it? And we spoke a lot about like that's where the community comes from as well, like helping others as a massive way to get purpose and fulfillment.
Without a doubt.
And that's
take yourself out of self. If you can remove yourself from yourself and focus on others, it gives you such purpose. It also, I think it allows you to, you become less fixated on your problems. They become a lot smaller, and you just put time into others.
Definitely.
So I think it's one of the most important things to do. And that's why, like you say, community, massive.
Yeah. And like that was a big, at the start of 2024, I had wrote down a load of goals, and one of them was to do something for charity.
Yeah.
But I hadn't gotten to that until like August. I was coming up with the Great North Run, and that was the first time I've ever done anything for charity, like personally.
Did you do it last year?
I did the Great North Run last year, and I raised for Reedley last year. And I took a place on short notice because I was like scratching around trying to find something that I could do for charity. I was like, I need to do this year. I have to. And like obviously all of the marathons and half marathons and all that thing are like in a bit of a season.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, I need to get a Great North Run place. And I managed to, I raised just under $2,500 in like,
well done.
In like 10 days. But that was like it was a massive thing because it helped us to not feel so much about myself, but like, oh, I'm giving back.
Yeah.
It was good.
I like what you say, that is a cheat code for sure.
Yeah.
Have you been to therapy?
I have. I've had therapy myself. It was a guy called Roland. He was a challenge. He challenged me. Like he challenged my thought process. My problem was I'd get stuck in such deep thought about life and why we actually exist. And
I love that though.
Almost like an existential crisis where you're just like, but why are we actually here? And you know, I dabble with like religion. I dabble with everything really. Like, I just needed to be challenged. I needed my thought process to be challenged and give it some direction, and that's what he done for me. I think people go to therapy for different reasons, but I think that's what I got out of it the most. I needed that challenge. I think probably the best time to get therapy is when you're grieving. When you're grieving something. I was grieving a lot during the time that I had therapy. I hadn't physically lost anyone, but I had lost a business that had meant so much to me. So it felt like I'd lost like people or community. So for me, if there's anyone out there who's like kind of like grieving something or someone, even if you've just broke up with somebody or whatever, that's the best time to get therapy.
That's why I went like, because that is grief as well. Like when you go through a breakup, like I remember saying like you're grieving someone who's still alive and is still there and you can still have contact with. And I was like, it would be easier if she was dead.
Mate, I know.
I was like, I would be able to just get over it. But like when you're thinking about it, you're like, why did that happen? But like that was kind of why I was like, I need to go.
Spirals,
and then but that when then my dad died, like I feel like all of that had happened had better prepared us for that event. So like it's as weird as it sounds, like the pain that I felt from like the breakup and that sort of thing wasn't as significant. Like what was more significant than when my dad had died.
No, I get that.
I had I couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
I couldn't sleep for days. Like I was having like a pain in my chest, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Mate, like that's
no one can prepare you for grief.
Not at all.
No one can prepare you for grief.
You know, this past 15 months, it's been the first time in my life that I've had to go through these processes sober, and it was so it was like everything was new.
Yeah.
So when I went through this breakup, you know, however when it was the start of the year and stuff, and it was so different in the past because how I dealt with it in the past was just numbed it and eventually moved on.
Yeah.
But I had to sit with this, and the same thing. Sleeping was out the window. Anger. Thank God I had this guy there.
Yeah.
You know, called him up, and he was like, "Right, I'm there." And I see a hypnotherapist, so I booked an appointment with her. And I said, "Look, I need to see you." And of course, she knew all of this was inevitable. She'd just been waiting for this to happen because she knew that it wasn't a good relationship, and it was the end result what it was going to be. But I tell you what, going through that process sober, it forced me to look inward about the habits because I'm a big believer in accountability. That was inevitable that wasn't going to work, and I was trying to force it to happen, and I was overlooking the fact that the dynamics weren't right.
Yeah.
So to learn that and go through that, having the right people around me was so important. Like, I mean, you were almost at my beck and call for a good few weeks. And I'd second guess myself with everything, and you were there to help me. But the growth I've seen from that, Like that gives me confidence. And I found the most amazing partner in the world. Like honestly, and I wouldn't have found that person, obviously, if I hadn't have ended that relationship, but also if I hadn't done the work on myself, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in. And it's fucking great.
Because then you create a better energy. You become a better human being from that. From that scenario happening. Like I feel the same. Like when I look back now, I think that, like, without being disrespectful, was the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I get it. I
genuinely
agree.
was, because I needed to go through that pain to learn all of those lessons and then think and reflect. Reflect a lot, because I've had a few relationships over the years, and they all seem to come to a head at the end in the same way. You're this, you're that, you're the other. And I'm like, maybe I was the problem. I always thought it was the other way around. So then I would sit and I would think like, I did say that, I did do this, I did do the other. And I thought, well, no wonder that these things happen because I'm not doing the right things.
Two truths can coexist. So it might have been the person as well. It might have been you, but it also might have been that person.
It might have been. It might have been.
No, I get that.
But I do agree with Alex in terms of accountability. Like, I take ownership of everything.
Accountability is key, because obviously, without that accountability, you would never hold your hands up to what you might have done.
Yeah.
It helped me heal as well, I think. It was sort of a case of, right. But it was also the fact that I knew that this person had some really not great traits. And I knew that I was overlooking loads of shit that I shouldn't have been. So that's why I took accountability for it. I was like, well, that's on me. You know, I allowed that. I allowed that behavior. I allowed this.
Try to change that person.
I became addicted to like trying to change this person. And I look back, I'm like, and again, not to be disrespectful, but like.
Do you think people change?
So I was talking to some, sorry, you answer.
I maybe need a little bit more time to think on that one. Do I think people change? In what sense do you mean? In like over time in relationships, or do you mean like, do you think it's possible to change who you are?
Yeah. Do you think people can change the essence of who they are?
Yeah, I do, because I feel like I have, because I feel like I was a very selfish person. I only thought of myself, but I feel like you can't. I think it takes a degree of maybe pain or something happening to you to force that. It has to be a forced change, I think. Like where like something happens and you're like, I can't go on this way anymore. I don't think you can just go
humble you.
Exactly. Like I literally had my ego shattered, completely shattered. Like I've probably faced rejection more than most men, like in working in sales. And then getting rejected from a relationship was the biggest rejection that I've ever had. And I was like, right, okay, well, take it on the chin, deal with the consequences, and then we'll go again. Like, you know, I'm not completely cut off from relationships right now, you know, like it's not been something where I'm like, oh, I can never get another girlfriend. You know, I'm open to that sort of thing. I think that you have to learn as you go.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big believer in people can change. You can't change people. I think that's for me how I say it.
100% agree with that. Love that saying.
Yeah. People can change, you can't change people. It's you know,
take people as they are, not as they could be.
You know?
Yeah, because I think you could see that in people, can't you?
You can.
You start to see like you could be this person.
Yeah, man.
You start to see the potential in other people. You do.
And you start trying to, but if that person doesn't see it and if that person's not prepared to do it, then you're wasting your time, you know? And most people don't achieve anywhere near their potential. I honestly see that. You know, I think you look at a lot of, but there's an argument. There's nothing wrong with that, because if you can be content with whatever your life is, then great. Like honestly, that would be a lot easier. I've just never been programmed like that. You know, I never sit with my successes. It's always like, that's done. Next.
I'm
just tough.
But that was the thing that I learned a lot, like in therapy as well, was to like take the time to kind of process the fact that you've done something good. And like being grateful for those sort of things. Like that was a massive, massive thing. Gratitude, like practicing gratitude. And I'm not saying like you have to write things down every night. You can do, which is a good starting point. But I was journaling a lot and just writing good things down. And you know, I like to read and write. And I think it's like a basic thing in life that people don't do, because we're coming so much on our phones. Getting a pen and paper, mate, makes you feel so good when you get something in your head and you're like, write that down. You look at it and you're like,
Yeah.
That's quite creative, actually.
Couldn't agree more.
I remember
I completely agree.
I did do that. I wrote in my journal and I posted on my Instagram. And someone had said, it was like, do you not care? Like, they posted that on Instagram. Like, why would I care?
Exactly.
It's my Instagram account. I can put whatever I want on my Instagram account.
100%.
And that's a big thing, I think, for people too hung up on what everybody else thinks.
Oh, without a doubt.
To not be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so hard to be who you truly want to be.
Mm. I don't think I think that's how you find out who you want to be.
Yeah.
By not worrying about what other people
Do you know
think.
what blows my mind? Like, the average reading level of like the population is like 7th grade or something like that. Yeah, it's
not
terrible.
surprised.
I know.
Mate.
Because it's phones are a major problem. Like, I mean, I'm glued to mine quite regularly, but like, I like to read and write as well.
Yeah.
I don't do it probably as much as I did maybe 12 months ago, because I was like, that was like a relief.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's just nice to write.
That.
Writing's nice. Like, I can get quite creative as well. And I'll think, I can't believe I've just come up with that.
Yeah, mate. I love that. Yeah. No, I do it every morning, every evening. A journal in the morning, journal before I go to bed. Yeah, sort of start the day, box it off. But that's also part of my recovery. Like, that was the process that was embedded in me, and I've just stuck with it.
It's a good thing as well, though. Like, so when you go to bed on a night time, you're not going to bed with any things in your head.
That's one of the biggest things.
Because that would keep me awake.
Yeah.
I honestly think journaling, or at least doing a brain dump, is probably one of the biggest non-negotiable things you can do for your mental health. There's been studies to show that your average human has 50 to 70,000 thought impulses every day.
Yeah.
So if you're not writing down what is on your mind, you're absolutely not going to have mental clarity.
Nah.
It's just not going to happen.
No. Not at all. It's tough,
so-
though. It's like, because I don't think many people buy into that being a thing. Like, I think
No, you don't.
that because you've got a phone.
Comes from parenting, I think.
Yeah, like just writing things down, like, oh, that's minor.
Yeah.
But it does have such a profound impact, I think, on
It
your
has a huge
mind.
impact.
You retain the information a lot more. I'm sure I don't know the statistics behind it, but by writing something down, it allows you to actually retain that information like a lot more easier. I don't quite know why, but it does.
What have been some of your most influential reads?
Good question.
Yeah, this is a good question because like I often post like my books on Instagram, and I feel like I've got a little bit of a cult following of every book that I post. Like a couple of like people that follow us, like, oh, I bought this book because you posted it, right? Yeah. And I love that. Like I love that people are like getting into that sort of thing. So it all really started for me. Atomic Habits. That's the first and foremost. That has to be at the top of the pyramid. Like if you want to start making little changes, like. It's
bread and butter.
It is, isn't it? But like, it seems minor. But like, just getting your clothes out the night before and leaving them for when you wake up in the morning to go to the gym.
Yeah,
it's there. Yeah. It's a tiny little thing that you have to do. But it's like, oh, the clothes are already out. So as soon as I jump out of bed, it's shower, clothes out the door.
I agree.
Pack the bag.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
And then
a lot of tools in that one.
I would say, ego is the enemy. That was a big one. Ryan Holiday. Yeah, that was a big one. Like everything you want in life is on the other side of ego.
Yeah,
that is
true.
True.
Downfall of every great man. Ego.
I read that one.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely worth a read because if you think about it, right, if you want to, let's say, anything you want to pursue, life's online a lot now, isn't it? So like most things you want to pursue, you're probably going to have to put yourself out there.
Yeah,
but your ego is stopping you from doing that because you think. That guy that I went to school with 15 years ago, he's going to judge us. He doesn't care about you anymore. He's still doing his thing, you know? And you think about yourself in your own mind more than anybody else ever thinks of you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'll go on someone's Instagram profile, I'll flick through the profile and I'll go, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But they're probably thinking, oh, put all these photos on, everybody's judging us. Like, no one cares.
No.
Nobody cares.
It's been so damaging to, like, relationships as well, ego, because, like, when you're thinking out of your ego, it's almost like it's not even you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like an extension of you, like you seeing yourself in a different way. That
100%.
Yeah.
I used to be like that. I used to think that I was God's gift.
So, mate,
until you get broken down and you're like, all right, actually.
It's the best lesson, isn't it?
It is. It's
when
great.
You get really humbled. Yeah, I had to get humbled a few times, mate.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've had a few humblings over the years, and you know what it is. Like the big one is like, but once you take it and you roll with it, that's when you start to really progress. And,
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think for me that I was in unfortunate but fortunate position where it was impossible for me to hide all my dirty laundry. It was aired out for everyone to see. So that was sort of like when I come out of rehab, and I'd made the choice of like, right, if I'm going to do this, I have to do this. So I was sort of like, well, everyone knows everything, so I could just be me. And what the biggest change was, stuff didn't affect me anymore. I don't really care what other people thought, because everyone knew stuff. You know, I used to get really annoyed by people who just, you know, make jokes or things, or just about silly stuff. You know, I was so self-conscious. Nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm confident in what I'm doing.
I definitely am on board with that as well, because I used to find that when I was going to see the therapist, I was like, I speak to him, I was like, I need to tell people that I'm going to therapy. And he was like, all right. And I was like, well, one, because I'm like seeing a lot of good benefit out of it. But two, I don't like the fact that I'm not being the true representation of myself online. So, because I used to get a lot of messages, like people were going, oh, you're smashing life. Because I would be on holiday in Dubai or Marbella. And I was like thinking that would eat away at me, because I was like, I'm not. I'm really not. Like,
I get that.
I might have I've gone to work, I've made a bit of money, and I went on holiday. And like, you think I'm smashing life because I'm on holiday. But in reality, I was like lying in bed on holiday. It's just going to end. So then I was like, you know what it is? I just need to come out and out myself. And if I out myself, nobody else can take the piss out of us.
Exactly.
Because if I do it first, then I'm getting there first before anybody else does. So I was like, I just put it out on my story on Instagram. And like, that was like a first part of freeing myself. Because I was like, well, I'm just being me. I'm just letting you all know who I am. And if you want to follow the journey, then follow the journey. And I'm trying to make it better for other people, because it's a stigma, obviously, isn't it? Like, because I remember speaking to people in the barber shops, and they were like, oh, I wouldn't dare go to therapy. Just I'm trying to just break it down a little bit for people, like, just to make it like people who follow me, oh, he does this, he does that, you know, like, it's not that abnormal.
People that comment on it are often the people who need it the most.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think everyone could do with it.
And it's ego though, isn't it? It is all ego, but once you've, like I say, once you've had that broken down, you're open to anything.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, I agree. I think it's when you're at that point, at least for me, I literally remember feeling the weight come off my shoulders. Yeah. Because I was a liar, you know. I would lie. You know, like if I was having a bad day, it was always a good day. I was always doing better than I would tell people, I've made this much money this month, spent in like a week, spend it all on fucking Coke and whatever else. And then the same person I was just telling I've made all this money to, can I borrow 20 quid? They're like, what the fuck? Yeah, none of it made sense. So I was so disillusional with the person I was and the person that my ego thought I was. And as soon as that went, it was like, okay, look, here's your start. But you got to do that. When you've still made the steps to get where you are now. That's not easy. That's what I was saying, when it takes discipline.
Yeah, it's daily work, literally daily work. You've just got to put the reps in. You're not going to get there overnight. You've got to, if you want to show up online, you have to show up online. If you want to go to the gym and look better, you have to go up and show up. You know what I mean? But to bring it back to the books, probably, I'd say it's top one or two. This one, you've got Atomic Habits, then this one. If you want to really start getting into it, is David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. That was a big one for me, because it was like,
it just gives you no excuses.
Exactly, exactly. If he's running 100 miles like in 24 hours, you're thinking like, well, why can I not do that? He used to ride his bike every day to camp, like 25 miles to the camp, and then 25 miles back on a night time, and then go through SEAL training 3 times. Yeah. He's a savage, but like, it's all in your mind though. You can do that. You could do it. Anybody can do it if you really thought you could. That like made me think like, well, what can I not do? You know what I mean? Like, why can I not do this? Why can I not push that? And that's kind of where like the inspiration to hit 100K runs coming from. Yeah, because
I love that.
It's just a day out.
That's gonna be it's
a day out, mate.
It's a hell of a day out, but it's sick. Yeah,
it's gonna be tough, but like it's just a day out. Like, that's the way that I'm seeing it. It's gonna be hard, but that's exactly why I wanted it to be.
And where's that? It's up Northumberland, isn't it?
Yeah. So you start at Holy Island, Northumberland, and you run all the way down. It's like through the Northumberland coastal paths. So it's all through the trails, and finish in Rothbury.
It's gonna be amazing, that.
Yeah, I did the 50K last year, and like,
did you?
Because what I did was, like, because I was like feeling a bit down, I went on a bit of a spiral of doing things which were like no training, that just show up on the day. So the half marathon was no training. And then I was just looking at Strava last night. I was with a couple of my pals and I was like, do you want to see all the training that I did leading up to this 50K? And it was like, evening walk, evening walks. I did 3 walks and then I turned up and I went and done this 50K run.
Man, I love that.
And then a month later, I did a couple of high roxes, but I just thought like, you don't like people are so fixated on training for everything, but if you just go and do something and like tell yourself you're going to do it,
so true.
You don't have to be an ultra marathon runner to go and run 50K. And I didn't run the full thing. I ran and walked it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's completing it. And there was an 8-hour time cap, and I was like looking at my phone. I was like, I need to hurry up here, try and run a little bit more. But it's just just pushing yourself that little bit, and that's what I'm like. I'm intrigued to see what I can actually achieve.
What's the inspiration behind this 100K?
So the 100K, it's all going to be done for charity. I'm trying to raise £10,000 for Reedley, which is a mesothelioma charity. It's going to be in memory of my dad who passed away in March.
I love that.
And obviously, like I saw the battle that my dad had and watching him kind of deteriorate over a couple of years. And I think like, what's me going out and running for a day when like I've literally got, it's 18 hours to run. That's how long I've got to do it. So 18 hours of suffering as opposed to 2 years. And I've raised a bit of money for charity along the way. You know, that's why I want to do it. Cause like, you know, in another big thing actually is like, there was nothing that I could do to help my dad at all. Not one bit, other than just be there for him. But like when you've got an incurable cancer, I can't like, even though he's going through chemotherapy, it was battering his body. He was like feeling like shit. There's nothing that I could do would make it any better.
Yeah.
There was never, oh, Dad, you'll get through this. Because you're not going to. Yeah. It's only going to end one way. So that like a big thing for me is just to be able to like do something hard and give back to the charity. Like try and raise £10,000. It'll do a lot for people.
100%.
It'll pay for a lot of like amazing, support groups, which is it's massive for me because that's the only way that I can kind of get out from the feeling, I suppose.
That's sort of what I was going to ask you. So when you lost your dad, because for me that was a really only way to describe it is strange time when it was like I don't have a dad. It's weird. Like what was the process for you behind that?
It's a daily thought. Like I never thought that it would be that. Like I mean, I guess it's hard. I mean, I didn't anticipate because of my dad's illness. I saw it. Like I could foresee what would come. I knew that there was going to be some end point, but what I didn't ever even think about was what was to come afterwards. So like thinking about a funeral, how I'm going to feel afterwards. Like I said, literally every day I'll think about my dad. Like it's not, you might just flash into your head and then it's gone, but you can't just get on your phone and text, you know, you can't ring him. It's like, it's weird. It's like it's a process that I literally never thought would feel the way it does. I mean, it doesn't like kill us, but you know, it
remains.
Yeah. It's like, you know, I mean, even just last night, I was with a couple of friends and they were talking about, oh, does your dad do this? And I was just sitting there thinking like, it's not, you have to be grateful for what you've got when you've got it. Like,
100%.
Definitely do. You really do. Like, and that taught me a lot, like about life, about gratitude. Like,
did it change the way you see life, like spiritually?
You know what's mad, right? Like, when my dad was dying, right, I was with him at the side of the bed, and I've never done this before in my life, but I just put my head down and I said a prayer, and I said, if there is a God up there, can you just take him peacefully now? I went downstairs and he died 30 minutes later. Like, he was coming to the end, but like, I just was like, that was really weird. And then 2 weeks later, so my dad died on the 2nd of March, and 2 weeks later, Newcastle were in the final. And I was in Manchester for the weekend, and this was the Saturday, and Newcastle played on the Sunday. And I just stopped in the middle of the road and I said, I'm going to say a prayer, like, for my dad, so that I hope Newcastle can win for my dad. Right? And obviously they won 2-1, and I was like, those two things that I prayed for both came in, and I thought, like,
I love that, man.
I do believe in something, but like that was really special to me, actually.
Like you should pray more often.
Maybe I should, yeah. Maybe I should pray for £1 million in the bank later.
No, I love that, man.
Yeah, like that was just so. I just thought, you know what it is. I'm just gonna do that. Like, it just felt the right thing to do at that time, and then that actually brought us a lot of peace. Like, there was no more suffering, and then Newcastle, after 70 years, won a trophy. So
I think you got to take things like that. You know, you got to take those things. You got to run with it. You know, so I say I'm doing my journaling. At the end of my evening journal, there's a little space at the bottom, and every night I write as if my dad's writing to me. Every night, and it's just that's like my little thing. Like, he'll always be there, you know. But just like what you're doing now, it's why I absolutely love it. Is because I just try and think, will my dad be proud of what I'm doing? And I know the answer is yes. And I didn't know your dad, but I say categorically he'd be proud of what you're doing, bro. 100%.
But that's a big thing. Like, I don't want to, because like I mentioned, there's two ways you can go with this. Like, when grief comes around, you can either spiral out of control, which is what I probably would have done a few years ago, or you can, like, take it and run with it and, like, use it to fuel you. And, like, if I didn't have that, I probably would maybe get 5-6 weeks into the training and go, it's all right. I don't fancy running 100K.
Yeah.
But, like, I needed to run this 100K. I need to raise this money, because it's not just for me. It's for my dad. It's for my family name. You know what I mean? I put my name on the line here.
Yeah.
That's the way that I feel. Like, I
Yeah,
put it out there.
yeah.
I have to do this now. You know what I mean? Like that. Like, I put a post out there. Like, it's getting done, and I can't wait. Like, I'm excited by it. Like, people have said to us, like, oh, I don't know how you can even think about running 100K. Good. Like, I like that. I like that people just, like, don't understand where it comes from. And you won't until you go through something like this, and you want to, like, you've got the two choices that I've had. Suffer or take it and run with it. And that's, like, that's why I want to do it. Like, it really spurs us on.
I love that.
Because I spoke to my dad a lot, like, probably in the last couple of months. Because he told us on the 23rd of December that there was nothing more they could do. And so I had a blowout on Christmas Day. Like,
I bet.
I did,
yeah, I feel that.
Because I knew that was the last Christmas I would have with my dad. And it was biting away at us all day. It was pecking my head. I was sat with him. And I was like, I wasn't having a good day. I couldn't be present.
Yeah.
I just wasn't enjoying it. And I went out with my mates later on, and I took 2 bottles of wine to the house. I drank both of them. And then I went out afterwards and got paralytic.
Yeah.
And then after that, though, I was like, I felt so low. I was like, why did I do that? But it was that sort of emotional thing was just getting a hold of us. And I was like, I need to, like, burst out of this now. But then, like, in the couple of months after that, like, leading up to my dad's death, like, we spoke loads. Like, I told him, like, what I wanted to achieve in life, like, what my plans were. I told him that I did want to do this 100K. I didn't say I was going to do it for charity, but I did speak to him about it. Yeah.
Oh, then you got to do it.
Yeah. And that was always going to happen. But I knew that I wanted to raise money as well. But, like, because I'd said that to him, because last year when I ran the 50K, it's the same trail, but obviously you just go up to Rothbury from Craster. My dad was really ill, and he met us at the finish line. He texted saying, "I'm on the way up."
Oh, man.
And he's like, he was taking steroids at the time, so he was a little bit pepped up, but he was ill. And I just remember him being in the pub at the end, and he was actually at the finish line first. He was waiting just at the finish line as I came around the corner, and I just remember, like, giving him a hug. Then we went and had a couple of pints afterwards, and it was just so nice. And, like, I still look at the messages now. He's like, I'm unbelievably proud of you for crossing that finish line today. I can't believe you did that.
I love that, man.
And, like, that's what
it's about.
Like, that's another hard thing. Like, we're losing. You go back and you read the messages sometimes, but a lot of the messages that I've got off my dad are like, I love you, James Dean. You're the best in the world, James. You're the best son ever.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. And you're like, I like to look at them because it like just gives us good vibes.
Yeah, I love that. I'm fortunate enough to have some voicemails, and they're amazing. Yeah, man. No, I think it's incredible what you're doing. I think to finish up, what would you say to someone who is in the space you were in 2 years ago? What would be your advice to that person?
I think you really just need to, first of all, kind of evaluate what it is that you're doing right now. I think you need to then look at the bigger picture of what you actually want to achieve in life, who you want to become. Literally visualize that. What does that person look like? And then what actions do you need to take to become that better version? Do you need to start training? Do you need to start surrounding yourself in a community or being around people who are going to push you to grow? Go and do something hard. Go for a long run. Go and do a high rocks. Go and do something which is going to literally push you to a level that you've never done. I think health and fitness is paramount. Like that has to be a non-negotiable in your life. If you were where I was a couple of years ago, you just need to take the ball and run in fitness and like try and help as many people as you can on the way.
Amazing, bro. That's it. James Dean, do tough things.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, I'll write the next David Goggins book.
Sick, mate. Get it? I love that, man. That's awesome.